Do you want to read my zines? Please say yes, they all fell before I could even show you. As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, I want to talk about zine inspiration and how I even get ideas to make my zines about. If you're ever like, I want to make a zine, but I don't have any thoughts, no thoughts, head empty, this video is for you. We're going to explore the ways that I personally choose my topics and talk about how I get inspired. Okay, first, what even is a zine? And is it pronounced like that, or is it pronounced zine? Well, no, it's not pronounced zine. It is pronounced zine, like the end of the word magazine. And zines are self-published booklets that you can make about anything you want. And then you make photocopies of them so you could share them with other people. So you can distribute these by either selling them, you can trade with other people that make zines or art, or you could just give them out for free. It's really up to you. The main purpose of these is just to share an idea, share information, share art, share nothing. It could be about literally anything or literally nothing. A platform for marginalized and underrepresented voices that mainstream media will either forget, pigeonhole, or ignore altogether. So zines provide that safe space for anyone, especially marginalized people, especially underrepresented voices. It's very, very important to note that zines are all about accessibility. They're the opposite of a magazine, which is very capitalistic in nature. Zines are not about making a ton of money. It's just about sharing your ideas with other people, sharing information with other people, sharing things that may help someone else, something that may inspire someone else. They could be about anything. I'm just trying to give you an idea of the spectrum of what zines can be. Anything or nothing, and there are no rules to them, so you can just create it whenever you want. You don't have to go through a middleman, you don't have to go through an editor. I mean, you can, but the main focus of zines is that you can just make it anytime you want and share it with whoever you please. So what kind of zines can you make? Well, there are a ton of different types of zines. I'll talk about a few today and show you a few examples of ones that I've made personally. The first one I want to start off with is the Perzine, which is short for personal zine. These zines are all about your lived experience and showing people a little bit of your identity, and you're using print to legitimize your experiences, to share them with other people that may be relatable or maybe open up their worldview to something that they've never even thought could happen to people or that people could experience. I have a few Perzines. There is You Kinda Suck 1, You Kinda Suck issue 2, and You Kinda Suck issue 3. And then I also have some variety packs, and these are all pretty much Perzines. Here's one, it says Sad, I Am Sad. These are actually filled with a bunch of Perzines, and it's basically about my life experiences, things that I've gone through, things that I struggle with, good moments, sad moments, breakups, anything. Here's another Perzine, it's called I Want You to Think I'm Amazing, but I'll settle with just being hot. I actually made this during the first lockdowns, and I was stuck in my apartment, really had no idea how to express myself because everything was closed off. I couldn't see any of my friends in real life. I couldn't do Zine Fest in real life. Things were getting a little scary for everyone, I'm sure. And so I just turned to zines to be able to talk about my experiences and what I was going through, and I shared them with other people, and I found that they could relate, and they felt very similar. They felt very scared of their future as creatives, as artists, and that's pretty much what this is about. It says, what if our dreams died in March? Who's gonna break the news to my optimism? And this poem here is all about how scary it was to have COVID kind of kill your dreams, but also kill your friends. A lot of my friends happened to die either from COVID or they took their own lives during that time, and so it really changed my perspective on the world, and it was like, okay, I'm really, really afraid of what my future may look like as a creative, But now I have friends that have no future at all because of this thing. And it's just one of those things that inspired me to keep going and keep being creative and keep pushing to be a creative. There's a lot of stuff in here that's like, ugh, I look back, it's like, should I have shared that? It's a little too personal, but that's what Perzines are all about. It's about legitimizing your experiences and being able to make a community based on shared lived experiences. This is a good way to be able to express yourself, especially in rough times. You can express your anger, you can express your fear, you can express maybe experiences where you don't feel so comfortable being open with your friends and family. You can put it in a zine and have strangers read it. That's something that I do a lot, and it's not therapy, but it's very therapeutic. It really helps me out during tough times where I feel like I have no one else to talk to. The next one I want to talk about is informational zines. So for informational zines, you can share experiences too. They could be personal, but you're mainly sharing information that may help others understand the topic a little bit more. Here's one that I made. It says, what does defunding the police mean and why should I care? And I made this when I was going to protest back in June 2020. And it explains a lot of what that term means because I felt like there was a huge misunderstanding about it. I basically just tell people what it means, why it's important for people of color, especially Black people, and why Black people always have to negotiate their human rights. It's really annoying, so I felt very passionate about this, and this is something I wanted to share info on. One of the last ones I want to talk about, there are so many more, but these are just my favorite ones to make. This one is called a fanzine. The fanzines are basically about anything you're a fan of, and you're just sharing information about that, sharing your experiences being a fan of that thing, and maybe you're just trying to convert other people to be a fan of that thing as well. I'm really into Nicolas Cage movies, so a lot of my fanzines are about either Nicolas Cage himself or his work. And so here's an example of one I made, and it's about one of my favorite Nick Cage movies called Vampire's Kiss. And I was able to cut it into the shape of a bat, and when you open it up, there's a mirror in there so you can test to see if you're a vampire. If you can see your reflection, great, you're not a vampire. If you can't see your reflection, well, good luck, Charlie. It also has like a little scan code where you can see all of my favorite scenes from the movie. And that's pretty much it. Fanzines are a great way to share some of your favorite things and help others discover things that maybe they didn't know about. So as I've shown you in some of the examples of my zines, I'm very inspired by things that happen in my lived experiences, or if I want to share information, or if I want to just share something that I'm passionate about, that I'm a fan of. Those are great starting points. But when I just run out of ideas and I have nothing going on in my brain, I like to make a list of things that I love and things that I hate. And the reason why I choose these things is because it draws out very strong emotions from me. So when I'm writing these lists, I feel like it's a great starting point to choose something from either column because you'll feel strongly about that thing. And y'all, please don't come for me for the fact that I put noodles. I don't know why I put noodles under the hate column. I think maybe me just writing, I felt under pressure because the video was recording. I don't know, but I love noodles. Anyway, here's my list. I'm making a little short list of things that I love and things that I hate. And then after I'm done with my list, I kind of go through process of elimination and find out which thing I'm most excited to talk about. And as you can see here, I'm going through the process of elimination and I'm crossing off things that I really am not in the mood to make a zine about. And then I go in and circle things that maybe I do want to talk about today. So I ended up doing process of elimination, and I was most excited to make a zine about Trader Joe's snacks. So I ended up making this one, and it's 5 reasons why you should try this dip. And it's the buffalo chicken dip from Trader Joe's. It's so good, and all I did to make this zine was take pictures of myself with the dip and then just go into reasons why I love it and want other people to try it. I've made other zines this way as well. When I'm really into something, I'll just pick that topic and go for it. So here's one I made while I was at Universal Studios, and it was 3 snacks to try at Universal Studios Hollywood. I was very inspired by all of the snacks that I was eating that day, so I just decided to whip out some colored pencils and a marker and list my top 3. Easily, I could be very inspired by my environment, so that's another way to get ideas to make your zine. Wherever you're at out in the world, say you're going to the movies, you're hanging out with your friends, whatever, find inspiration in little things like that and you can make a whole zine about it. And like we were talking about earlier, I love fanzines. I loved Nicolas Cage's interviews when he was promoting his newest movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. If you're familiar with these interviews, you know just how silly they are. He just talks about the randomest things. So I decided to make a little zine out of all the interviews, and this is from my favorite one where he's talking about how he wished he wore a suit that reminded him of cranberry juice. So this is a flexagon zine that I made, and basically every time that you flex the folds of the paper, it reveals a different side of itself. So that's something I was very inspired by, was just his interviews talking about his favorite articles of clothing. And then another one I made is based on some poetry I wrote back when I was in college. I was having a hard time getting published in literary magazines and anthologies and stuff like that. I wasn't getting published, so I decided to publish myself, and I was very inspired by my rejections that I was receiving, I guess. And so I just turned to making zines about whatever I wanted. So this one is of selected poems. It's called Your Dyslexia is Showing, and it's filled with a bunch of poems that I wrote. So that is the video, folks. I hope it was understandable because I know I'm not the most articulate person. As an artist and a zine maker, I express myself way better through my work. So I hope I was able to fit everything in the video I wanted to, but watching it back, I'll probably notice that I missed a couple of things, or I repeated myself incessantly, or I probably didn't make sense. I don't know. Please let me know if this made sense. That's just how I personally pick my topics and how I find inspiration. Another big thing I want to mention is I'm super inspired by other people's work. So if you're looking for more ideas or you're looking to get inspiration, please, please, please just read a lot of zines or read a lot of material about zine making. One big resource I love to share is Stolen Sharpie Revolution. This is a great, great resource, and it's all about DIY culture, how to make zines, and where you can find them on the regular. I know it's pretty hard to find zines if you're not familiar with them, so I would definitely recommend picking this up. It's like 10 bucks, and it gives you a general idea of how to find zines in your community and how to start your own. Another thing I like to share are zine archives. This is way more accessible if you can't find zines in your city. Like if you don't have access to like a local bookstore or a library, you can find zines online to read for free. So in the description, I'll link an archive that I like to look through. The zines vary from revolutionary political ideas to zines about someone experiencing their first kiss. So it ranges from all ends of the spectrum. It's really, really cool, and there's tons of zine archives online that you can look at and get inspiration, because that's how I get inspiration for my zines. And I think that's pretty much all I want to talk about in this video. It is International Zine Month, the whole month of July, so I hope that you guys will spend the month making zines or getting inspired. I don't know, share your zines with me. If you ever want to send me a PDF of your zine or do a zine trade, definitely hit me up. Just email me or DM me or however you can reach me. And I would love to just like talk about zines and make zines all day long, all week long, all month long, all year long, as long as I live. But yeah, that's it.